If there is one fear that is almost always interfering in relationships and blocking us from truly having fulfilling relationships where we feel seen and loved and heard and valued and where we feel free to be our authentic selves, then it is the fear of abandonment or the fear of rejection. And it's also the fear that is interfering with you if you want to change yourself or transform yourself in your life, because the fear of abandonment or the fear of rejection is blocking you from truly doing new things, from truly doing things that you have never done before and doing the things that you need to do to get where you want to be. This fear often or almost always interferes with you taking action. It makes you procrastinate. It makes you not start at all. It makes you think that you are not able to pull through, that you are not able to get where you want to be, etc. It is the fear that is almost always holding you back from having fulfilling relationships and creating the dreams that are living inside of you. So inside and outside our relationships, it is a fear that is holding us back from expressing ourselves authentically. It is holding us back from starting with creating our art, from setting up that business, from changing jobs, from speaking our truth, setting boundaries, saying no when we feel like it. It is holding us back from being who we truly are and who we want to be. But why? Why are we so afraid of being abandoned or rejected? And what is this fear of abandonment or rejection? Where is it coming from? And the most important thing, and this is what this video is all about, how do you heal that fear? How do you overcome this fear of abandonment and rejection? How do you work with it? And how can you use it to your advantage to create those fulfilling relationships that you long for and to create the changes that you so desire? What happens when we are being abandoned or rejected? And why do we fear that so much? Why do we fear that so much that it is interfering with us having fulfilling relationships, finding the right partners, but also creating the dreams and the visions that we hold inside of ourselves? What is it that we fear so much? Well, actually, it's two things, and they are often more subconscious than conscious, and this is why we are so unaware of them that we do not even know that that is what we fear the most. First, you have to sit with all the pain, hurt, grief, and suppressed emotions from your past that are tied to the first and heavy and intense feelings of you of being abandoned by one or two of your most important caretakers. And this is your mother or your father. Maybe in your past you have been emotionally, physically, or relationally abandoned by them. So when you are being abandoned or rejected by someone, or maybe by even a whole group of people, or on the internet while sharing your art, whatever, you will have to feel that first abandonment pain again. You will have to sit with the pain from your past, the grief, the suppressed emotions, all these heavy feelings that you have suppressed from the first moment that you have experienced some kind of abandonment. And you thought that you would never have to feel those emotions again, and you stuffed them away, you suppressed them in your body, in your subconscious mind, and you created all kinds of masks, roles, identities, coping mechanisms to protect yourself and to not ever feel them anymore. But they're still there. They do not go away if they are not being felt and healed properly. So when you are being abandoned or rejected, in the present moment, you will instantly be pulled back to the past, to that first pain that you have suppressed. And you have to sit with that pain of abandonment and rejection, and all the stories and the emotions that are tied and connected to that event. And this is heavy, this is intense, this suppressed pain and emotions and grief, these are so intense that we do everything to not feel it. We try to hold it back, right? And this is what is giving this anxiety or this fear or these symptoms of anxiety, but actually is the suppressed pain from the past. And this is almost always happening subconsciously. So you think you are afraid of abandonment or rejection, but actually underneath it, you are afraid of having to feel the pain from your past of this first existential, emotionally, physically, or relationally being abandoned by your mother and or your father. And I strongly believe that because of the society and the systems we are living in that are very emotionally immature, our parents aren't capable to be present in a healthy way, emotionally, physically, and or relationally. So we all carry some wound of abandonment or rejection inside of us because we are so unaware in this society that we are doing this to our children and to ourselves, that every child in some way gets hurt in that way. Of course, there's a spectrum and one child has it more than another, but we do not have to compare. But if you are experiencing a fear of abandonment and the consequences in your daily life, in your relationships, and in the way you take action or not, then this initial pain and wound is living inside of you. And it's all the way back to the past, connected and tied to your parents. So when you are being abandoned or rejected, you will be confronted with that first initial and existential pain. And this is intense. This is something that you have been stuffing away in your shadow, in your subconscious, in your body for a very long time. And you have been doing that also very well. So to sit with it and to really feel it and process that pain from the past is something you do not know and have never done before. And there's another thing, as I said, a second thing that will happen when you are being abandoned or rejected by someone else or in a relationship, or you are being rejected when you create your art, or you are fearing that you are being rejected. And that is that you will be confronted with all the deficiency stories of unworthiness that are living inside of you, that you have created in that initial moment when you were being emotionally, physically, or relationally abandoned or rejected by your mother and or your father. You will be confronted with the stories that you tell about yourself where you abandon and reject yourself. You will be confronted with the shame that is living inside of you, the guilt. You will be confronted with all the things that you tell yourself what you do not like about yourself. And this is actually opening up that wound of your past again. And this is painful. It's pain that you do not want to feel. You do not want to be confronted with all the ways that you punish yourself, hate yourself, not love yourself, think you are unworthy, feel ashamed of yourself, etc. So these two things are actually what is behind the fear of abandonment and rejection. This first initial pain and wound that will be opened again, and that you will have to sit with and process the grief, the pain, and the hurt from the past. And you will be confronted with all the things that you tell yourself why you are not worthy of being loved, seen, heard, valued, and why you are not worthy and capable of expressing yourself in an authentic way, why you do not have the right to exist. So in general, there are two ways or two tactics actually that people use to deal with this fear. The first one is the more codependent tactic. What do I mean by that? Well, codependency means that there is this inherent belief inside of you that you cannot do things on your own and that you need the people around you to survive, to be seen, to be loved, to be heard, to be valued, and to, for example, make your dreams come true, create the life that you want, create the visions that are living inside of you, and that you need others to survive. So this is very heavily weighed, right? You feel that you are dependent on other people for you to thrive. And this first belief, you have created this belief when you felt this initial pain of being abandoned emotionally, physically, or relationally by your mother and or your father. And you created this belief in that moment. You started to believe, I cannot do things on my own. And in order to survive and to be loved, seen, heard, and valued, and to get what I want, I need to rely and depend heavily on others. They cannot in any way abandon or reject me. I have to attach to them and I have to make sure that they love me, because otherwise I cannot live on my own. So you feel you are very dependent on others. And what you do is you create tactics like people pleasing, having no boundaries, saying yes when you feel no, adapting to the people around you, making sure that they like you by being the same as them, conform to their standards, their morals, do what they do, behave as they behave, create and copy who they are, become them so that they will not leave you. This is a codependency tactic or strategy to make sure that the people around you do not leave you because you believe that you cannot handle life on your own. And the second tactic I call the more avoidant tactic or the more independent tactic. This is a belief that it is not safe to attach and to connect with others because in the end they will always leave you and you will always be alone. These are people who are more afraid of connecting or attaching to others because they believe that if they get too attached to people, that they will get hurt in the end. So they fear vulnerability. They are more hard and cold, distant. They are very independent, ambitious, driven, lone wolves. They believe that too much closeness will always end in abandonment or rejection, and thus the pain and hurt from the past. When they first or initially felt this abandonment or rejection from their mother and or father, emotionally, physically, or relationally, they decided not that they need others to survive. They decided, I am alone and I do not need anybody to survive. So these are two very extreme sides of one spectrum, right? The fear of abandonment or the abandonment pain. At the one side, you are very dependent on others, and on the other side, you choose that you are very independent and you do not need anyone. And of course, you can be somewhere in between, and it can differ per relationship or per project. And both these tactics have helped you in the past. They have protected you. They were necessary when you felt this initial pain of abandonment, because for a little child, this is way too intense and heavy to process. Think about little children that feel that way. Probably you will already feel that pain and this empathy, right? And compassion and like, oh no, you little child. It's not something a little child has to deal with. But as I said, and as I always say in all my videos, our society isn't emotionally mature enough. We are just maturing emotionally to understand this and to create different and other spaces and surroundings for our children. So these strategies or tactics have helped you in the past. But right now, when you are here watching this video, I assume that you want to change yourself and transform yourself in your life. Maybe you want to master your emotions, master your anxiety or fear, heal from your past. Or maybe you want to start with creating the dreams that you have inside of yourself. Maybe you are looking for more fulfilling relationships where you dare to be who you authentically are. Then it is time to become aware of the tactic that you use or that you are, so more codependent or more avoidant, and to start with dismantling it. Ask yourself, why do I do that? What am I afraid of? What is the worst thing that can happen? But more importantly is to start with diving inside and start with working with the suppressed emotions, pain, hurt, and grief from your past that are still present in your subconscious mind and body and that are tied to this first negative and intense, heavy event that you experienced where you have been emotionally, physically, or relationally been abandoned by your mother and or your father. And when you understand that, you can start with healing and feeling and releasing and processing these emotions, staying present with yourself, so not abandoning and rejecting yourself anymore. Work with them, maybe release them, express them, and then integrate these lost and hurt and wounded parts from your past. I always say we travel to the past and we retrieve those lost and hurt parts and we take them with you. We give them what they need and you give them what they need and you integrate them into your being. And then you can feel that this wound isn't your enemy, but not feeling and not soothing and not comforting this wound is your enemy. Enemy in a light way. And when you have done that, you can start with listening to this fear, giving it what it needs. And you will slowly start to feel in control of your life and your emotions and this fear again. And you can become this healthy, independent or interdependent, as I would say, person who feels inspired, motivated, who feels empowered, who starts with setting boundaries, speaking your truth, saying yes or no when you feel like it, and who starts to take more freedom in relationships, to let others be, who starts to express itself more authentically, or maybe someone who finally starts with or dares to connect more vulnerably, if you haven't dared to do that before. But you will also become someone who dares to start with creating your art, starting that business, changing jobs, taking courageous and inspired action when you feel like it. So become aware, understand, feel and heal the suppressed emotions, soothe and comfort this wound, stay present with yourself, and slowly feel how this empowers you, how you feel whole again. And start with transforming yourself in your life. Hi there, my name is Myrthe Glasbergen. I'm the founder and owner of Beyond Psychology, and I'm also a psychologist, coach, intuitive singer, and creator. And away from traditional talk therapy and coaching, I have created tools for mental well-being with healing music, poetry, spoken word, voice healing, and song that help you to reduce stress, overcome anxiety, regulate and master your emotions, and heal your suffering at the root. And if you want to work on the topic of this video or on the topic of one of my other videos, you can do this in 3 ways. You can work one-on-one with me, just check the link below. You can also check my web shop where I have gathered all my tools for healing, meditations, somatic exercises, visualizations, and healing music. And you can also find a fear of abandonment somatic exercise to help you heal this fear. And you can subscribe to my membership and online platform. It will give you access to all of my tools at once. You can now check it out for 5 days for free. Check the link below, start your free trial, and heal your suffering at the root. Thank you for being here and have a nice day.